Hey guys, looks like the 7 Deadly Sins manga is wrapping up, so make sure to follow us on our Twitch, link in the description, where we'll be discussing the newest chapter tomorrow at 5 PM Eastern Time. We discuss the chapters weekly on Wednesdays at this time, so we'll be discussing all of the final chapters together week by week. Join us and let us give a proper send-off to these amazing characters that we've grown to love so much. Alright, now let's get into some overpowered greatness. Cue that intro. What up guys, Goes in here for AnimeUproar, and in this video I'm going to be counting down some of the most OP abilities in the 7 Deadly Sins. I love the fact that there are so many special abilities in this series, and so I wanted to explore some of the most OP ones in more detail. Make sure to like and subscribe for more 7 Deadly Sins videos. If you desperately need even more 7 Deadly Sins content, you can follow us on Instagram at AnimeUproar, where you'll find daily 7 Deadly Sins posts. Keep in mind, this is not simply a list of the most OP characters. You can watch the top 10 overpowered characters video if you are looking for that. This is specifically about abilities, so you will at times see weaker characters ranking higher than stronger characters because of the quality of their specific ability. At the end of the day, this is just for fun and it's my opinion. If you think differently, that's totally cool. Let me know how you'd rank them differently, or if you'd include an OP ability that I left out. Manga spoilers lie ahead. Now, without further ado, let's jump into some OP abilities. At number 10, I got Crisis, the original demon's original power. As the original demon describes it, the more life that is shaved away, the more his power grows in proportion. Thus, all damage that he takes that doesn't kill him only makes him stronger. If Miles' move, Greatest Sun, didn't finish him off, we can hardly imagine how much the damage would have increased his power. The issue, of course, is that the original demon's body, because of the curse placed on him by the Demon King, is constantly breaking down, and it is only a matter of time before he would eventually destroy himself. It is a problem too that you have to take damage to increase your own power, since getting stronger ironically means you are taking on more damage, and as a result, possibly getting closer to your own defeat. For these reasons, I won't place the ability any higher, but it was definitely an impressive and interesting ability to give to an already overpowered character. At number 9, we have Full Counter, an ability Meliodas learned from Chandler. Meliodas' version of Full Counter reflects attack magic back at the enemy with even greater power, so the stronger the opponent, the more formidable the move becomes. The drawback is you can't initiate an attack with Full Counter, but if you are already a good fighter, it is an excellent ability to add to your repertoire. Estarossa also possessed Full Counter, but instead of magic attacks, he could reflect only physical attacks. As Estarossa tells Escanor, any physical attack made against him, he can return many times over. Since these are supposedly abilities that one is able to learn, then it would be very interesting if one could learn both and be able to reflect all magic and physical attacks too. That would make one practically invincible as long as they could keep up with the speed of their opponent's attacks. The great thing about Full Counter is it doesn't actually require a lot of power to use, so even if you're way weaker, like one of Meliodas' clones, you can still reflect a much stronger opponent's attack right back at them and defeat them in that way. Lastly, there is Revenge Counter, a version of Full Counter where Meliodas purposely takes damage in order to eventually reflect all the accumulated damage back at once. Because he's absorbed multiple attacks and not just one, his final attack will be much more powerful. At number 8 is Bond's Snatch ability. It allows him to steal things like items, weapons, or even an opponent's heart or hearts if we're talking about demons who have 7 hearts. As is explained in chapter 35, Bond's magic power Snatch doesn't only steal objects, it can also temporarily rob someone of their physical abilities. Against Meliodas, Bond robs the captain of his speed and adds it to his own. This move is called Physical Hunt, and it allows him to fill his own body with additional physical power stolen from his opponent. It can increase his own strength and speed drastically while decreasing that of the opponent. Hunterfest is the upgraded version of this ability that he uses against Galan. He can rob the physical strength of every person within a several 100-foot radius of him. This is enough to temporarily let him overpower Galan, but the drawback is that his body's tolerance level limits how much power he can steal, and there's a limit to how long he can keep it up. This is why he cannot steal all of Galan's power and finish him off. This is also why he can't keep fighting for a long time, and eventually, as a result of absorbing so much power, he undergoes a recovery period during which he can't lift even a single finger. However, Bond's body's tolerance level dramatically increases in Purgatory, so he can potentially steal much more physical power for an extended period of time. Furthermore, Snatch lets him use the move Zero Sign, which steals other people's perception of him, allowing him to sneak up on enemies. He can now also give power to others with the move Gift. So all in all, this ability is extremely versatile and OP, but it is not without its drawbacks, especially if it belongs to a person with a low body tolerance level, so for that reason it didn't place even higher on this list. At number 7 we have Ominous Nebula. As we're told in chapter 288, the true nature of Ominous Nebula is that by increasing his concentration to the limit, Zeldris revolves his own darkness at top speed, creating an intense whirlpool that pulls in all nearby creatures to him. And then anything that enters its range is cut down to bits by a slashing attack so swift it's impossible to avoid by any spinal reflex. One could call it full react. As Ludoshel, an archangel known for being one of the fastest beings ever, says, calling the attack swift doesn't do it justice. Ludoshel admits that the attack surpasses him and suggests that it is entering a divine realm because of how OP it is. Zeldris uses this original power in combination with the power he's borrowed from the Demon King, which makes him resistant to all magic attacks, while Ominous Nebula should in theory make him impervious to physical attacks. It is one of the most OP combinations in the show, but it is ultimately thwarted by Escanor in the 1 mode. There is no doubt it is an OP ability, but it would not be as good without the Demon King's resistance to magic attacks. Ultimately, Escanor's ability Sunshine proves to be even more overpowered and puts a stop to it. More on that later, but for now let's move on to number 6, which is Merlin's ability Infinity. This ability is so good that she got both the Demon King and Supreme Deity to give her extremely valuable gifts in the hope that she would join their side. Of course she doesn't, but still manages to escape unharmed from these two godlike figures. Her ability allows her to stop her own time. In her true form, she looks like she hasn't aged a bit since the Holy War, even though 3,000 years have passed since then. This will allow her to live forever in theory, which is very valuable to her as a mage, because the whole time she is gaining knowledge and learning about or coming up with new spells and combinations. Merlin's ability Infinity is so OP that she is often accused of cheating and foul play. All she needs to do is to invoke a spell once and she can use her power to keep it going forever until she decides to cancel it out. We see just how crazy Infinity can be when she uses it in combination with other spells to overpower Cusack and Chandler, two of the strongest demons in history, before they transform into the original demon. She sets it up so that the attacks keep coming at the two for as long as they keep moving. Even Ludoshel, who is on the same side, thinks that Merlin's power has to be against the rules at this point. The possibilities are literally infinite. At number 5, we got the ability to transform into an Endura. It's a transformation that demons with a combat class of over 50,000 can undergo by sacrificing 6 of their 7 hearts. We see both Derriere and Monspeed undergo this transformation in chapter 206. They go from losing against 3 archangels to absolutely wrecking them. As Melascula points out, the summoner exchanges his original form and sense of reason in order to take on the ultimate evil form. Enduras are called creatures of destruction. I can't help but wonder how strong Meliodas would be if he, the source of destruction, also became an Endura, the creature of destruction. That would just be insane. But even for much weaker demons, it drastically raises their power. Ludoshel, who was clearly overpowering Monspeed and Derriere before their transformations, finds that his attacks now have no effect and he goes from winning to being a punching bag like Tarmiel and Sarmiel. Ludoshel in Margaret's body reaches a power level of 201,000, and we have every reason to believe that it was even higher in his original goddess body, and yet he was no match for the Endura transformations, which were not even complete yet. It definitely comes with a heavy price to pay, but this ability is definitely an OP one. In the Prisoner of the Sky movie, stopping one Endura took the combined efforts of the Sins, the Mother of Chaos aka Hawk's mom, and the Celestials. I would love to see how strong Meliodas would become if he underwent this transformation, as long as Elizabeth is around to turn him back to normal afterwards, as she did with Derriere and Monspeed. Number 4 is Sunshine, the ability that made Escanor one of the most OP characters ever. and that made Mael even stronger than that. As we know, the ability Sunshine ensures that the wielder gets stronger as the sun approaches its highest point in the sky. In the beginning, it doesn't even take high noon for Escanor to easily overpower all of his opponents, including Galand, Melascula, and Estarossa, the guy who was responsible for temporarily killing our main character. All of these commandments were more than a match for the other sins in the beginning, but with Sunshine, Escanor, who has a base power level at midnight of 15, was able to crush them. This speaks to how OP Sunshine is. It can turn a character who has half the combat class of Hawk into the most OP member of the 7 deadly sins, at least for a time. Sunshine also allows Escanor to become the one during high noon. As Merlin explains, for 1 minute Escanor becomes the invincible incarnation of power. In this mode, Escanor can take out Assault Mode Meliodas with a swipe of his hand. Keep in mind, this was Meliodas at the power level that he possessed when he commanded the 10 Commandments, and the one still can effortlessly take him out. Furthermore, he can stop Zeldris' OP ability, Ominous Nebula, with a Karate Chop in the one form. The ability Sunshine proves to be even stronger in Mael's possession. Afternoon Mael can stop Ominous Nebula with his proximity alone, and that proximity even melts Zeldris' sword, something that Escanor's The One form didn't do. Afternoon Mael was able to take out the original demon with one attack, but what's really exciting is how strong he could potentially get in the one form during high noon. Not only has Sunshine proved to be extremely overpowered, it is also clear that we haven't even seen it used to its full potential so far. At number 3, we have the Demon King's original power, the Ruler. As stated in chapter 284, the Ruler ability changes any attack and weakening maneuvers made against you into healing and rejuvenating ones instead. In other words, a reversal. This ability is actually insanely OP, but Bond happens to learn how to give power, which turns out to be this ability's Achilles heel, since giving power is reversed also and it becomes taking away power instead. Yet it's not even really much of a weakness, since the Demon King can just deactivate the power, so Bond can no longer hurt him in that way. Keep in mind, Mael in the one mode could launch the greatest sun known to man attack at the Demon King, and it would not only do 0 damage, it would actually heal and fortify him instead. I think the Demon King's ability was overcome quickly for the reader, despite the fact that, in the world of the series, it helped the Demon King ensure victory against Bond and Meliodas an astounding 6,093 times in the span of 60 Purgatory years. It was overcome because Bond happened to have a specific ability, Snatch, that eventually evolved in a specific way so that the Demon King was forced to deactivate the Ruler. However, if it wasn't for that lucky break, Meliodas and Bond might have never escaped Purgatory at all. Thus, we should keep in mind that there wouldn't always be an ability as convenient as Bond's ability, which forces the user of the Ruler to deactivate his OP ability. In most cases, he would be able to go on using it to his advantage. In second place, we have King's ability Disaster, which has grown with him into one of the most OP abilities ever. Disaster and how it allows King to expertly control the Spirit Spear is what gave me the idea to actually do this video in the first place. I missed it the first time, but on rereading chapter 281, I noticed that King with full-grown wings is using at least 4 Spirit Spears at the same time. Not only is each form much stronger than it was before individually, but before he could only use 1 Spirit Spear at a time, and now he can use 4 or even more, which is just insane to think about. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The ability Disaster is so versatile and can do so many things that we should probably start with the basics. As Merlin explains, King's original magic power, Disaster, allows him to turn the littlest cut into a mortal wound, change poison into a deadly poison, and increase the size of a tiny tumor. His technique, Condense Power, allows him to condense a water droplet and turn it into a deadly bullet that's as hard as steel. All of this is impressive on its own, but the ability really shines when it's combined with King's Sacred Treasure. As Gilla explains in chapter 25, it is his original magic power Disaster that actually allows him to summon forth the legendary Spirit Spear's power. As of now, we've currently seen 8 forms that Chastiful can take, and we know that King can use at least 4 at the same time, and probably more. This ability allowed him to easily beat Amael with 4 commandments whose power level was over 200,000, when the combined efforts of Dian, Gother, and a pre-full wings king could do absolutely nothing. The ability also allows him to fight from a ridiculously long distance. The drawback is that it wastes a lot of magic quickly and he can use only one Spirit Spear at a time from a distance, but he was still able to almost take out the original demon and overpower Zeldris even with these disadvantages. I believe that the 4th form, Sunflower, would have taken the original demon out just like Miles' greatest son, and that is why Zeldris stepped in to help and cancelled out the magic attack using the magic resistance he borrowed from the Demon King. I can't go into every form his Sacred Treasure can take, and we still haven't seen all of the enhanced versions of the different forms, or King go all out with the ability and a full tank of magic. But even still, no ability except perhaps the one in first place, that we'll get to soon, has impressed me as much as King's Disaster ability. Its strength and versatility easily make it one of the most OP abilities in the series. And in first place, the most OP ability is Meliodas' original power. For a long time, Meliodas was afraid to awaken his original power. That's how strong it is. The Demon King, a god in the world of the 7 deadly sins, was powerless before Meliodas' original power. Meliodas' emotions alone could use the original power to destroy the Demon King's entire arm. Keep in mind that most of the strongest creatures alive would have trouble penetrating the top layer of his flesh, and Meliodas tore through his armor, skin, and even bone with his power. This godlike figure panicked and screamed after Meliodas when he saw how strong he was. The Demon King said Meliodas was special because he was the source of destruction, or the Destroyer. So some of you think that Meliodas' original power is called the Destroyer, similarly to how the Demon King's is called the Ruler. That would make sense since his original power definitely seems to be tied with destruction. It's as if it allows Meliodas to destroy anything. The Demon King has also referred to the power as Meliodas' inner Demon Lord power. Apparently, it's so strong that he can't last a day in this mortal plane with it. No other ability on this list has been so OP that the user couldn't even stay in the human world once it was awakened. Meliodas uses this godly power with King's technique, Condensed Power, to absolutely destroy the Demon King. Meliodas' ability makes the Demon King, who was previously presented as an almighty godlike figure, look absolutely helpless. That is pretty much as OP as you can get. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you are notified when brand new 7 Deadly Sins videos drop. For daily 7 Deadly Sins posts and conversations, definitely check out our Instagram at AnimeUproar. A big thank you goes out to our patrons, especially our pro tier patrons, Keelan and the one and only Gilgamesh, and our the 1 tier patrons, the ones who stand atop all clans, Matty Mac 239 and Ace17 FFDP. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you want to support us, you can do so for as little as $1 a month, and your name will even appear alongside these amazing people in future videos. Just check out the link in the description. And lastly, if you're interested in rocking some 7 Deadly Sins inspired merch like Escanor Praise the Sun and Meliodas Feel the Wrath, be sure to check out AnimeUproar.com. Thanks again, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.